continuing in this yard that we just drove up to. Dee's going to do something different that I don't quite get yet, but I'm sure we're going to figure it out once she starts doing it and explaining it to us, to see back in Massachusetts how unlimited brood nest and small cell beekeeping with Husel positioning is done in Arizona.
Because this is a different whole yard with a different build-up. Okay.
You can see there's some bees in this hive. That's the third box. There's the second box up. You can see that there are a fair number of bees in here. That's nothing to sneeze at.
Try not to use those. I want production. You know? You get an empty super to work on.
You can see by opening up the hive, bees are flying. They hit the camera a little bit harder than they hit the humans. But again, it's not a scary situation. We're just here doing bees.
Now, stay with me here, okay? Okay.
This hive is not going to get split in case you can't hear Dee over the wind. We're working this hive up. Just making sure the Husel positioning is proper. There's brood in that frame. She's putting an empty frame from the outside toward the middle to give the queen a place to lay, and putting an empty box with comb on top for the queen to lay in and to put honey in. And she's putting up another box that was originally on this hive but doesn't have much in it. So now we have two pretty much empty boxes up above the brood nest with two boxes for the brood nest, and that should give the bees enough room to do what they need to do. So here I am. This hive is a 5-stacker. Dee's unpacking now. I'm a little bit in the flight path, which isn't the best idea, but it's okay because I'm suited up. The bees are not overly aggressive. Oh, look at that. We're now looking at the fourth box up, and you can see all that white wax and plenty of bees, certainly within the center 4 frames. To the outside, there's less going on. It looks like there's some foundation in there that hasn't yet been drawn out.
That box I saved from this one. Okay, the box I saved from the last one.
Ramona's getting a box of comb from the other hive. Oh, and look at that.
Now, before I do it,
and we can see that there's some drones in there, and I did not spot any varroa. We're working hard here, so we're not going to stop and look at everything.
you don't want the hive facing down. Okay, got brood. Okay.
That looked like a full frame of capped brood right toward the middle of the brood nest.
Over, put it on. We're got to keep the queen opened up so they don't force her. Now. This is the box they're putting the honey in. Okay?
So we've now put an empty box underneath the honey super, what they're putting the honey in currently, to give them more room to work and room for the queen to lay, and then an empty box on top for even more honey. This is going to be a production hive, and you can see now it's 6 deep, almost over Ramona's head as she puts the lid back on. Now Dee's going for the next one. There are bees in the top box. Box number 5. Box number 4, there are bees. These bees have some room to work. We're looking at the third box right now. Third box up from the bottom.
I don't need any more hives in this yard.
We're not looking to do splits except to maybe make up some dead outs, but there are not very many. This hive is nice and strong, and we're working these hives up for production. We're in the third box. The middle frames are all full of capped honey, you can see. And Dee is now putting a frame of empty comb from the side in the middle to give the bees room to put more honey in as they work from the inside to the outside. You can see there are quite a number of bees in the air. Now we're looking at the second box down. That's nothing to sneeze at. Again, this is organic beekeeping with no chemical treatments. We got brood in the second box along with plenty of honey. What she's done, she's taken a frame that has brood, made sure that there's brood in the original hive.
I'm setting the honey up so you can't force the queen. See what I'm saying?
She put an empty box under the honey super to catch more honey.
I got 2 under the honey super. Okay? I got 2 empty for them to fill.
There's 2 empties under the honey super. That'll give the queen plenty of room to lay and the bees plenty of room to put honey away, so they shouldn't swarm. And they'll be all set up to make production. Probably hear the sound. There's a lot of bees. That top box didn't have much going on. There's some bees in the fourth box up of this hive. Now we're into box number 3. Capped honey. Box number 3 looks like mainly honey. Okay, we're continuing. This third box up, look at that. All honey. Now we're looking at the second box up.
Brood.
We got brood all in the second box.
These 2.
Plenty of bees.
I'm going to have to force that queen down. This is to keep them from swarming and keep production up.
So we're rotating boxes within this hive to take the honey that was just above the brood nest and put it above 2 relatively empty boxes to get the bees. Clearly there are plenty of bees here. I don't think we're going to have any trouble getting this filled up with honey. And once again, this is April 10th and the main flow has not yet hit.
I don't want the queen forced out for any swarming mode.
So that hive, nothing was added, nothing was taken away. It was simply a matter of opening things up for them and helping them produce a little bit more honey without getting into a swarming mode. Here we are looking at the third box. Plenty of bees, some nice new wax. Looks like we're socking honey away on the top of that frame. And looks like probably brood in there. We're getting ready to put brood in there.
Not enough. Last of it. All the rest of this honey, they've forced down already.
They've already forced the queen down.
Except for this one frame.
Except for one of the center frames has some brood in it. And look at that. Now we're looking at the second box. Again, this yard, we're not really doing splits. We're just moving boxes around for the most part, getting them ready to make a whole bunch of honey.
Wait a minute. I'm going to take one frame of brood down.
And what Dee is doing here is because there was one frame with brood in the middle of the brood nest on the box above the main brood nest. She moved that one frame into the empty super so there's not to separate the brood nest so that the bees can properly care for the brood.
Help bait those bees up away. You know what I mean?
And bringing that frame up will bait the nurse bees up, and it will also bring the queen up, now that there's all those empty combs up there, to start laying and increase the population, just in case you thought there weren't enough bees here. Once again, if these were killer bees, it would be completely impossible for me to be standing directly in front of the entrances to the hives and filming. My biggest problem here is backing into a cactus while I'm filming and watching the camera and not where my feet are going. This is the second box up of this hive. We're going quick rock and roll here. There's brood in that frame. Mostly capped brood in that second box, so we're putting one of the empty hive bodies that was over the brood nest now directly over the second body to give the queen room to lay. Going through these very quickly. You can see that we haven't used any smoke. We used a little bit just on ourselves while we took a quick break. But other than that, we're not smoking these hives. We want to see what the natural state of the hives is. You can see here that they don't have much going on the two left-hand frames as the camera's looking, but the rest of the top bars are covered. So what Dee's going to do is she's going to take those two outside frames, or at least one of them, move it toward the middle, bees room to raise more brood. You'll notice that she's flipping the frames to keep the hoozle positioning proper. The hoozle positioning is a way to mimic the way bees do things in nature when they build their own combs in a non-movable comb system. To us, comb looks the same from each direction, but if you look through the cells, you will see the Y formed by the cells on the other side of the comb. One direction points up, one direction points down. In nature, the bees put the Y facing down toward the middle of the box, or the nest. They start in the middle and they move out from there with the upside down Y facing toward the center. You will see on these frames arrows drawn on the top. Look at that, a textbook frame in the brood nest.
I got too big of a cap here.
With a big honey cap on it. So he's going to open this up with Ramona's help because there's just too much honey, and the bees are starting to force the queen down toward the bottom, which will restrict the size of the brood nest, plug up the brood nest with honey, and cause the hive to eventually swarm. You can see there are quite a few bees flying. You can also see that we're quite unconcerned. We're not wearing full bee suits. We're wearing standard inspection jackets, the three of us, and painter's pants. Look at that. That's the fifth box up, bees boiling out. Although they don't seem to be doing too much work up there, they certainly are up there. Now look at the fourth box. The middle 7 or 8 frames look like they're really covered with bees. Some drone brood, some honey, an open brood in the middle of the frame. This is the fourth box up from the bottom with brood in it. We expect that there's something, without opening the hive further, that there's some empty spaces down below. We're going to let the bees force the queen down toward the bottom where there's room for her to lay. There's no need to do any reversing or confuse the bees. This is a small hive. It's only 4 deep to start with. The third box doesn't have too much going on. The second box, you can see that they're toward the middle of the box. He's checking the frames on the sides. There does not seem to be much going on. Again, this is the second box up. Brood. Now, Dee, did that brood pattern look a little spotty to you?
No. Pollen.
A full frame of mostly pollen. Brood. Could be a failing queen, could be inbred. You can see that this hive was only 4 high to start with. Here's Ramona using a little bit. She's moving some of the empty frames out from the middle to out from the sides to the middle to give the queen a place to lay. For most of these hives, you have no need to do a full hive inspection because clearly the bees are strong, the queens are doing fine, and we're happy to let the bees requeen themselves when they deem it necessary. We're now looking at the 4th box on this hive. 3rd box, there are bees. Once again, not as strong perhaps as some of the other hives that we've been looking at. We got honey socked away in the 3rd box. I'm trying to speak loudly and enunciate clearly because I expect the sound of the bees and the wind noise on the microphone is probably distracting when we play this back. But I hope this will be a nice documentary evidence of what we're seeing out here in the desert on April 10th before the main honey flow. This is now the 2nd box. I'm standing only a few feet in front of the entrance of the hive. Brood and pollen in the 2nd box. If the queen is inbred or failing, the bees will requeen themselves as the flow comes on. Again, this is before the flow that we're looking at. He's moving a frame of foundation from the outside toward the inside to open things up and give the queen a place to lay. Other than that, the order's going back just the way it was. And we're moving on to the next one. To give an idea of what I look like here, I'm going to turn the camera around. And you can see that I have plenty of bees all over me. Yet I am unconcerned and I am not nervous. I'm more nervous about stepping on a cactus while I'm running the camera and not watching the ground that I'm walking on. Now Dee has opened another hive. She's down into the 3rd box here. You can see they're starting to put honey even all the way to the side. You can see it glistening in the frame. Brood. which is why we're here. All the way to the outside of this third box, we're starting to sock away honey in April. Now we have Ramona pulling some frames out to swap out, open up this box, give the queen some more room to lay eggs, and to raise more bees, and to stave off swarming. Ramona's being careful to make sure that the arrows on the top bars of the hive on the frames point towards the middle. Actually, Dee, I think there were some frames going the wrong way on that box. The one on the end and those two. The loosel positioning is important. Important enough that we opened up the hive again to make sure we got it right. The loosel positioning makes all the difference in getting the hives up big and strong like this. Large populations early in the year to build up a field force, to be able to make splits, and to produce a honey crop. We've gone through one side of the yard, now we're moving on to the other side. This hive looks strong to me. It'll be interesting to see what's under the inner cover in the fifth box up. Bees coming out of the fifth box. Bees in the fourth box coming out. I don't see fresh wax up on the top bars, but I bet we see them on the next box down. There we go. Take a look at that. The frames on the outside haven't all been drawn out from foundation. And he's moving them in towards the inside, making sure to keep the loosel positioning proper. And this box has honey and brood in it, I can see from here. The bees will readily draw that foundation with the flow coming on, and with this many bees, it should just take a matter of days, while they're still socking away honey and raising brood at the same time. You can see the kinds of things that are blooming are these small flowers. It takes small bees to be able to land on these small flowers. Is calling what she's doing here a major production workup. Again, we're not making splits for the most part. We're mostly just moving things around, making sure that there's room for the honey to go and for the queen to lay, so as to avoid swarming and missing some of the honey crop. Again, you can see we're now looking in the fourth box. There's plenty of bees. Honey, with a few scattered brood in there. It appears that they're forcing the queen down already. Honey with still some...
It's all honey.
It's all honey.
All honey. Okay.
Let's see.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't get that all filmed. I had to help out. We got brood in the third box, plenty of it. We've taken the top box that was relatively empty, moved it to the fourth position, with the super that was full of honey on the top. Once again, these are all deep boxes. This is a commercial operation. There's no time or room to be messing around with different size boxes. Another 5 deep, bees coming out the top. In fact, what she's done is she's now, the hive that we just opened, she's taken an empty box because she knows how strong they are from this hive, which is not quite as strong, and put it on top. That is now 6 deep. You can see that it is almost over Ramona's head as she puts the top on. Now we come back to the hive that donated that box. You can see they're not quite as strong, but there's still plenty of bees. I think most people would consider this a strong hive. Again, we're looking at the 3rd deep box up from the bottom. He is moving some of the frames from the outside toward the inside to open it up. I can definitely see honey. The flipping of the frames is in order to keep the hoosel positioning proper. We got brood in the 3rd box. Opening up, giving the queen a place to lay so that she can get forced down. Plus, there's the swarm over here that came from one of these hives. I think the next one, we saw it coming out. Oh, we saw it, I'm sorry, I'm correcting myself here. This was the hive that we saw the swarm come out of, so we know that they're going to take a little bit to regroup. So it's okay to bring them down to 4 boxes, as they will not swarm again very soon, now that we've opened up the brood nest. This is quite an experience out here in Arizona. I don't know if you saw that there was a lizard on the top cover. We don't have these in Massachusetts. We don't have any lizards in Massachusetts. We're now looking at the 3rd box up. Take a look. That's a lot of bees on the 3rd box up. Honey in the 3rd box in the middle. And honey. They appear to have already been forcing the queen down. I expect what Dee is going to do is put the top box in the 3rd position. Not the top, the 4th box in the 3rd position. Then the top box in the 4th position. And then put the box that had all honey in it on top supering, drawing the bees up there to finish up capping, and pulling them through the rest of the comb, giving them a place to put honey as the flow comes on, because once again, the flow has not hit here.
Buying time till I can get back to extract.
The biggest problem Dee is having right now is making sure that everything doesn't hit at once. And what we're doing here is opening things up so that she has time to come back, so that she can extract the honey and not have her bees swarm on her. Obviously, she has a few bees. You can see with the hive tool, Dee is marking the hoosel positioning on these frames because it either has not been marked previously or it did and you just can't see it anymore. When you move a frame from one side to the other, you have to make sure to flip it to keep the hosel positioning proper. Ramona and I are here working with Dee for 2 weeks and getting married while we're out here among the bees. We're a couple of hobbyist beekeepers from Massachusetts who recently have decided that we want to go a little bit bigger, and we're here to learn what we can.
Put those two down. Put those two down.
From Dee, who's been successfully keeping bees alive and healthy and productive without chemical treatments. There's no apistan has ever gone in these hives, no terramycin, not
since 93.
There was terramycin somewhat up until 93, and then she stopped.
With propolis patties.
When she went to propolis patties, and once she was able to figure out how to regress her bees down in size, she has not even done that. The bees are in a sink or swim situation. The ones that can't make it are happily allowed to die and culled, letting the good genetics that can survive on its own and be productive to populate all of her hives. We're just in 1 yard of some 30 odd that she manages. We got bees on the top box of this five box hive. We've got bees in the next box down, more towards the middle. Looks like there might even be some foundation in that box. And there we are, the third box. You can see fresh wax on the top bars. These bees have been producing, and I think we're going to see some honey here. Look at that. Very close to being ready to extract, which is why we're here, to make sure that the bees can open up, sock away some more honey, get it all capped, and hold it while Dee is able to go through all of her yards, open things up, do splits, and then come back around to do extracting.
Are you ready? Yep. Set her down. Excellent.
This is without a doubt the largest completely chemical-free beekeeping operation in the country. Dee's late husband, Ed, and she did the original research for the USDA on regressing bees and figuring out that what the issues have been with the size of the comb being used in the foundation. She makes her own foundation with her own clean wax that has not been treated. These bees are as healthy as anything you can imagine. Look at that, the fifth box. There are bees coming out the top. They already look like they're working up in the fifth box. Once again, I'm standing about 3 feet in front of the entrance of the hive. Look at that, box 4. You can see all of the fresh wax being deposited on the top bars of the frame. And look at this, more honey. Again, this is the fourth box. And there's 4 or 5 frames that look like that in the box with mostly honey. The box is just about half full of honey. Now we're looking at box 3. We've been through several hundred hives already in the days that we've been here. We saw one varroa mite. If that's an infestation, then Dee's infested. But
that's technically what infestation is. What is infestation?
we've got brood in this frame. Once again, we're not pulling everything and demonstrating everything. Because this is a commercial operation. It's worth noting that this is 2008 in April, when the reports coming from the beekeepers is that CCD is worse than it was last year, that people are having large die-offs of bees. This yard is holding fast. She did have CCD in some of her yards, not this one. We've already gone through those. They were strong. They were doing great, and we were able to take the survivors, which were just strong as heck, and get those survivors. Split to fill in the dead equipment to hold all of the comb away from the wax worms. You can see this hive is now 6 high, almost over the heads of both me and Ramona. When we first got here and we went through the first few yards, Ramona and I were a little bit nervous. We had never been around bees this numerous or hives this big before. We are now almost nonchalant about it as long as we are protected with minimum bee suit protection. Again, nice fresh wax on the top bars. These bees are working this box heavily. It's the 3rd box up from the bottom. You can see that they're working more on the left side of the hive on this box than the right side as you're looking from the camera. So Dee is pulling frames out of the right-hand side and she's going to move things around. And you'll see that when she gets towards the middle, she's going to have to flip the frames that were previously on the left side of the center to the right side of the center. And there are brood right in the middle. This is the 3rd box. With bees this strong, there's almost nothing that you could do to screw them up with management practices, except the Husel positioning will allow them to get this strong. I'm now convinced that this is probably one of the most important things with running unlimited brood nest and chemical-free beekeeping. There's lots of brood here, and again, this is the 3rd box up. She's opening it up, putting some of the frames that were on the side toward the middle, giving the queen all this open comb to lay in. The Lusby beekeeping operation is the 6th oldest family beekeeping operation in the country. It dates back to 1888 in this country and further back in the old world. Look at this. This is the 5th box of this hive. You can see fresh white wax on the top bars with bees, plenty of bees covering the top bars. They're working the 5th box. I'm standing inches from the front entrance and I'm unconcerned. Top box. This is the 5th box up with a nice brood pattern in it. This is a strong hive. We're now looking at the 4th box up from the bottom. There are so many bees flying around I'm having trouble seeing, but they are not. Look at that. That is a picture-perfect brood frame. What he's done is taken a couple of boxes, the top 2 boxes of a 5-box hive, taking the top box, putting it over an empty box of comb, and then the middle box with all the brood in it, although there's brood in both boxes, but the majority of it, putting it on top, taking a split. This is not a split taking 4 or 5 frames from a hive. This is now a production hive. Even if they don't have a queen yet, there are so many bees and so many brood, they will quickly make one. It is not of concern whether we got the queen or not, because both the parent hive and the split hive are strong enough to handle it and to keep producing while a new queen is raised. the third box up from the bottom, I see brood. He's taking a frame from the outside, putting it in the middle, giving the queen more room to play. There's foundation in there. You can see that comb is somewhat chewed up. The bees will fix that in a day or two when they're this strong. This is quite an experience to see bees this strong. I personally have never seen anything like it in my life. And once again, these bees are not treated. They have not been fed Apistan. And just in case you think that this is terribly hard, I'm filming. I'm not doing any work here, except I pulled up one frame with my fingers. We have women in their 50s and 60s doing all of the work here, all of the lifting, all of the beekeeping work. Ramona is available for hire to commercial beekeepers at a very high hourly rate.
22 hives.
We have to get the swarm.
Swarm. Okay.
We went through 22 hives on this day in about 40 minutes. And we now have one last job to do, which is to get the swarm that we saw when we came in. I noticed a cloud of bees coming out of one hive when we drove up. We were fortuitous to get here when the swarm was happening. You can see here's the swarm clustered on a low bush, making it very easy to capture. The biggest problem that we're going to have is having enough equipment. The Lusby operation generally runs a great number of hives, but all of the equipment is taken up with these healthy bees, and holding them and getting the honey extracted and getting the equipment back to the yard is going to be the biggest challenge of keeping bees here in Arizona for Dee Lusby this year in 2008. CCD killed off the weakest of her bees in some of her yards, not here. We did not see an effect here. The CCD research group came out and took samples of her bees. This is officially CCD, not rumored CCD. When we went through the hives, there was nothing left, no bees on the bottom board, nothing. We were able to split those hives effectively with strong splits, and there's just simply nothing to say but that this is beekeeping. We're now working on getting ready to catch that swarm. He's put a bottom board with a queen excluder. In this case, we call it the queen includer. This is to prevent the swarm from absconding the best that we can. The swarm is not likely to abscond if we get the queen in the box, and the queen is unable to leave through the queen excluder. While we're waiting for the equipment to come off the truck, which is over there, I'm going to do a little panorama so you can get an idea of what the yard looks like and the beautiful location we are in. This has to be seen and experienced to believe. gone through this entire yard, 22 hives, and now hiving the swarm without pausing the tape, except for one time when Dee put a pair of spats over her black leather boots, which was the biggest problem that we've had here. The swarm hiving equipment consists of a bee brush, an inner cover, and a spray can full of water with just a little bit of lemon scent. Spraying the swarm to stop them from flying.
Take from the other side here. Oh, they're already on the glass, I think. I get from the other side. Okay. Ready? Yeah. Okay, hold that. Let me spray him. Okay, yeah, okay, don't.
The spray, the water in the spray will keep the bees from flying as it coats their wings. And the lemon scent, any citrus, there's the queen going down. I don't know if you can see that. I just got a glimpse of her. It's hard to keep an eye on what's going on and the camera.
Where's the lid? Lid. No, not that. Lid. Okay, put her on. We're done.
We know we got the queen. Without a question, we saw her go down between the bars. The queen includer will keep the queen from leaving. And you can see already, this is just seconds after hiving the swarm, bees flying in the front entrance to be with the queen. This is a textbook hive swarming. It took literally, aside from getting the equipment here, less than a minute to hive the swarm. It's done. Free bees, and we're all set to go. Ramona's just putting rocks on the cover, and we're going to wrap things up in this yard while Dee does the final count. Ramona, wave to Ken Warshaw.
Hey, Ken. I'm alive.
Okay, we're done with this yard. That was about 45 minutes to go through all these hives and hive a swarm on a commercial scale. I'm going to take one more shot of me surrounded by all these bees and loving every minute of it. We'll see you at the next yard.